Attention passionate Philadelphia, EAGLES. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Philadelphia Eagles' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Philadelphia Eagles fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Philadelphia, EAGLESFANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. Buckle up because what's happening right now in the NFL, especially in the NFC East, is nothing short of explosive. And it involves one of the Eagles' biggest stars, A.J. Brown. Yes, Brown, the all-pro wide receiver who's been such a key piece for Philadelphia since he arrived from Tennessee, is at the center of some intense rumors and potential blockbuster moves. And trust me, this isn't just some off-season gossip. It's shaping up to be a defining moment for the Eagles and their division rivals. Let's start with the background. A.J. Brown, who's been a dominant force when healthy, has been somewhat frustrated lately. The main point of contention: targets. Or more precisely, the lack of targets he's been getting. In 2025, he's only had around 25% of the targets, which is quite low for a receiver of his caliber. That's a significant share of the offense, especially considering his talent and production. Now Brown, who's been a staple of the Titans and then the Eagles, has put up impressive numbers, over 500 yards and 42 touchdowns so far in his career, with a lot of his success coming from his ability to make contested catches, his YAC, and his overall route running. In 2024 alone, he posted a PFF grade of 91.2, which is elite, and his yards after catch average of 5.8 yards per reception shows how dangerous he is once he gets the ball in his hands. But as we all know, all players want the ball more, and when they don't get it, frustration can build. And this is where things get spicy. Rumors are swirling that Brown might be heading to the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know what some of you are thinking: why would the Eagles trade away such a key piece? Well, the Eagles are managing their cap situation carefully. They've got a cap hit of around $17 million on Brown, which is manageable but requires some strategic maneuvering, especially with extensions looming for other players like Reddick. Philadelphia has been prioritizing their offensive line and secondary after some recent losses exposed vulnerabilities against teams like the Giants. They're trying to balance the books, free up cap space, and still build a competitive roster. But the Bills, on the other hand, are in a different spot. They're sitting at 4-1, and their offense, led by Josh Allen, is already looking like one of the most explosive in the league. They've got Diggs leading the receiving core, but adding Brown would turn that attack into an absolute juggernaut. Imagine Brown lining up next to Diggs, creating mismatches all over the field. His ability to gain yards after the catch, combined with his contested catch skills, would make Buffalo's offense even more unstoppable. Plus, the Bills have a cap space of around $2 million, which means they could make this work with some creative adjustments. Now, what would a trade like this look like? The rumors say the Bills might send a first-round pick in 2026 and a cornerback, Christian Benford, in exchange for Brown. That's a bold move, but in NFL terms, it's not unprecedented. The Bills are looking to rebuild their offense and take the next step towards Super Bowl contention. Brown's addition could be a game-changer, especially in high-leverage situations where he's shown he can be a clutch receiver. This move, if it happens, would have huge implications. For the Bills, it's a shot at creating a near-unstoppable passing attack. For the Eagles, it's about managing the fallout. They're aware that losing Brown could hurt their offensive explosiveness. Without him, their EPA per pass drops roughly 15%, similar to what we saw with the Jets after losing some key players. They'd have to find other ways to generate offense, possibly relying more on their run game or their emerging secondary. But the risk is real. Trading away a top receiver can backfire if the replacement options aren't up to par. So, let's talk about what Brown's presence has meant for Buffalo if the trade goes through. The projections are staggering. If Brown joins the Bills, they could be looking at over 200 yards receiving and around 10 touchdowns for the rest of the season. His chemistry with Allen is already evident. Allen has thrown for over 500 yards in 2025, and adding Brown would multiply their offensive efficiency. Brown's ability to gain +2 yards of separation against current Bills opponents combined with a 20% higher win rate versus man coverage, makes him a perfect fit for their scheme. Buffalo's offense could see a boost of around 15% in EPA per pass, and their overall yards per game could jump from about 350 to nearly 400. What about the defense? Well, they're also making moves. The Bills are reportedly adding Christian Benford, a cornerback who has shown promise with a PFF grade above 70. This strengthens their secondary, which has been vulnerable at times. But the big story is how this trade could elevate their offense to new heights. The Bills are already top contenders in the AFC, with odds of winning the Super Bowl dropping from plus 1,000 to plus 600, and their AFC championship odds improving from plus 250 to a more favorable number. It's clear that with Brown, the Bills are positioning themselves as serious Super Bowl favorites, especially considering their record of 4-1 and the way their offense has been rolling. Now, let's not forget the historical context. Adding a player like Brown to a team like Buffalo is reminiscent of other great moves in NFL history. Think about how Antonio Brown or Randy Moss transformed defenses in their prime. Brown is a true X-factor, especially in the playoffs, where his ability to cut defenses apart in the red zone and create explosive plays can be the difference between a deep run and an early exit. His track record in snow and cold weather, much like Obbs in Pittsburgh, shows he can perform under tough conditions, making him an ideal playoff weapon. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, this trade sends a message. They're willing to make tough decisions to rebuild and retool their roster. Prioritizing their offensive line and secondary means they're laying the groundwork for a more balanced team. But losing Brown, who's been such a dynamic deep threat, could mean their offense becomes more predictable and less explosive. They'll need to find other ways to generate big plays, perhaps relying more on their running game or emerging talents. The risk of an offensive decline is real, especially if their targets are limited and defenses can double-team their other receivers. So in the grand scheme of the NFL landscape, this potential trade is more than just a move. It's a statement. It's a signal that the Bills are all in, willing to take calculated risks to chase a Super Bowl title, while the Eagles are playing the long game, focusing on building a sustainable, championship-caliber team for the future. Both teams are at pivotal moments, and what happens next could redefine their trajectories for years to come. Stay tuned because this story is far from over. We're watching an NFL chess match unfold right before our eyes, and the implications are huge. Whether this trade materializes or not, it underscores how competitive and unpredictable this league is, especially in the NFC East and AFC. The Eagles, of course, will be looking to respond, maybe shoring up their roster or making strategic moves that keep them in the hunt. But right now, the buzz is all about Buffalo, and this bold move that could turn their season into a dynasty, or at least set them up for a deep playoff run. And now, Philadelphia Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think the Eagles should hold onto Brown and try to fix the targets issue internally? Or do you see the potential in this trade and believe the Bills could be the team to beat with Brown in their arsenal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Philadelphia Eagles. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Philadelphia Eagles news.